That afternoon in the computer lab was a turning point for me. From then, I determined to be happy. Not as I am always optimistic and on top of the world, but I now refuse to let my circumstance determine my mood or my marriage. It all began by realizing just how destructive a negative attitude is to a person and to a partnership. Workbook exercise here: listening to your self talk. Learning to choose your attitude is not easy. The next subheading, titled The Power of Negative Thinking. The power of negative thinking. Most negative people feel they could be positive if they had a different job, lived in a better place, or married a different person. But happiness does not hinge on better circumstances. Very important. A person with bad attitudes will still be a bad person with bad attitude. I'll take that again. A person with bad attitude will still be a person with bad attitude, no matter the circumstance, wherever and with whomever he or she lives. Hallelujah. By force of habit, each of us is either basically positive or basically negative. Our circumstances change with the weather, but our attitude stays the same. The negative person defends his attitude with the rationale of being realistic, while the positive person looks beyond the current state of affairs and sees people and situations in terms of possibilities. And this is the reason why it's not about your environment. If you are a positive person, you be a positive person. People that think, oh, is when they leave Nigeria that things will work out for them. When you still go there, it's not about environment. I know that, okay, fine, you might have better opportunity in some environment, but then if it is about that, then people that are abroad, everybody there is going to be rich. Nobody, they will not even be looking for people to even, everybody there is supposed to be rich already. But even abroad, there are still poor people over there. So it's basically not about environment. It's actually about your mindset. Take Ron and Scott. Ron and Scott is our Ron and Scott is our case study for today. Both of them married about 3 years. Both of them married about 3 years. They have good jobs, live in nice places, and attend the same church. Ron is basically a positive person. He puts things in their best light, allows his wife to be human, and does not judge everyone by a perfectionistic standard. Okay. His life is not without disappointment and problems, but his problems do not keep him from being happily married. Scott, on the other hand, is basically negative. He makes himself the judge and jury on every inevitable shortcomings in his marriage. His conversations is a negative commentary on life, and both he and his wife are ready to call it quits. Of course, Scott didn't start out that way. In the beginning, he had what we call a positive bias. In the honeymoon stage, everything his partner said or did was interpreted in a positive light, and she could do no wrong. But when the marriage ran into difficulties, as all marriages do, emphasis on all, his disappointment and frustration caused Scott to shift to a negative bias, with the results that he saw everything his wife did in a negative light. She could now do no right. Life was basically the same for Ron and Scott. So why the drastic difference in attitude, right? The problem for Scott arose not in his circumstances, but in how he interpreted them. Even the most Even the most trivial situations was often seen in the worst possible light. While Ron would give his wife the benefit of a doubt if she didn't greet him warmly. For example, Scott would jump to negative conclusions. She couldn't care less about me. Runs and Scott's reality were not that different, but their outlooks were. Negative interpretations are guaranteed to sap the happiness out of marriage. But how do we cultivate positive attitudes when our spouses do something we dislike? Do something we dislike. The answer lies in taking responsibility for our own feelings. We're getting there. We're getting there. I remember coming home one day, flushed with excitement and eager to discuss some good news with Les. I can't remember the news now, but I remember his response. Lukewarm enthusiasm. I wanted him to share my excitement, but for whatever reason, he didn't. You upset me, I later told him. But the truth is, he didn't upset me. I upset myself. That sounds a little strange, but it's true. Before exploring why Les didn't join in my celebration, I jumped to a negative conclusion. He doesn't even care that something good happened to me. He is only interested in himself. Meanwhile, Les, who was feeling somewhat dejected that day because of a setback at work, was thinking, she doesn't really care about me. She's only interested in herself. Since that time, both of us have tried to adopt a no fault, no blame attitude. The idea is to suspend our negative evaluations about each other and remember that no one can make another person unhappy. I'll say that again. No one can make another person unhappy. Everyone is responsible for his or her own attitude and happiness. I'll add that. Viktor Frankl, more than anyone else, exemplified the human ability to rise above circumstances and maintain a positive attitude. He was a 26-year-old Jewish psychiatrist in Vienna, Austria, when he was arrested by Hitler's Gestapo and placed in a concentration camp. Months in and months out, he worked under the great smokestack that belched out black carbon monoxide from the incinerators where his father, mother, sister, and wife has been cremated. Wow. Each day he hoped for a few silver of carrots and peas in the daily bowls of soup. In cold weather, he got up an hour earlier than usual to wrap his feet and legs in scrap burlap and wire to shield them against the crippling cold of an East European winter. When Viktor Frankl was finally called for inquisition, he stood naked in the center of a powerful white light, while men in shiny boots strode to and fro in the darkened shadows. In the darkened shadows beyond the light. We'll continue reading in the next video.